I take the American anxiety and I bring down and offer wisdom, and I feel like I'm hosting a class for the next 15 minutes. I'm making America smarter. I don't know. I bring in one of my students, Joel Klatt, the voice of college football for Fox Sports. Former, by the way, preferred walk-on for Colorado that set all their records. So at least he has the guile and toughness I prefer.
I tell you what, did you notice how slowly I walked on the stage today? I didn't have any swagger coming up here.
I love that.
There you go.
Now, let me stop this. I'm hearing a lot of this stuff.
A lot of what stuff? Let's hear it.
Oh,
come on.
Mac Jones, Alabama. He's the next Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Those wide receivers at Alabama, they're all NFL wide receivers.
Whoa.
They are good.
Time out. Who was Joe Burrow throwing to last year? I'm sorry. Was he throwing to the Little Sisters of the Poor? No, it was Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall and Thaddeus Moth, and he had Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield. So he had Joe Brady as the passing game coordinator, an excellent, aggressive coordinator. And that's exactly what Mac Jones has, and maybe even to a greater degree.
So you think Mac Jones is the next Burrow, this Alabama kid?
In my comparison, so yeah, Colin is taking issue with the comparison that I made on social media, and I think he could have a Joe Burrow-esque season 2.0.
Well,
I don't think he's as good as Joe Burrow, but I will say this. He is making some unbelievable throws. He's big.
Well, that one right there gets picked in the NFL.
Oh, okay. Yeah, since you know, because you've taken how many snaps in any pocket? Zero.
Look at that lollipop.
That was a beautiful throw. The throw to Devontae Smith to put him up 41-24 was excellent. Bottom line to me is that he's got the tools around him to have one of those seasons that is special and at times remarkable. In particular,
oh, God, that ball's picked in the NFL.
Yeah, but it's not, Colin, because it's man coverage and there's not a safety in the middle of the field. So it depends. How about that throw? What about that throw?
About that
What's
catch?
your commentary on that throw?
That was the catch.
Over the perfect coverage. I'm sorry that he's so bad. Look at that throw. That's terrible. Perfect throw over the outside shoulder against Georgia, who's by the 24/7 composite, the most talented team in college football. All I'm trying to say is that Mac is having an unbelievable season. Right now, he's ahead of Joe Burrow in rating of what Joe Burrow did last year. He's ahead of him in yards per game. He's ahead of him in completion percentage. He's having a Burrow-esque season, in particular when you think of these two guys as kind of middling, average, older quarterbacks in college football, and then all of a sudden they have this wow splash season. He's doing some things that are remarkable. Did you know? Wouldn't you say Alabama's maybe the most or one of the most storied programs in college football history?
Yeah, of course.
Wouldn't you agree with that? Okay, there's been 7 400-yard passing games in the history of Alabama football.
He's got 5.
He's got 3 of them in the last 3 games. Right. So save it with your Mac Jones hate.
Yeah, I was on Burrow from the very beginning.
I bet you were.
Okay.
I bet you were when he was at LSU, when he was transferring.
I loved him.
In fact, In fact, I wish we had that. I wish we had this tape right now. Yeah. I sat here and verbatim, this man, your soothsayer over here, said, and Joey, you'll remember this. He said, "If you can't beat out Dwayne Haskins, then I don't think I'm not going to waste a pick on you." And you criticized Burrow for having to transfer from Ohio State to LSU after you realized that he did transfer from Ohio State to LSU. I know this is embarrassing, but these are facts, folks. Facts do not care about Colin's feelings at this point. He said all of those things about Burrow. Do not let him trick you into thinking that he was some sort of train engineer tooting his way down the Joe Burrow train, because that was not happening.
What? I offered a little sense of humor in the show. One of us can laugh occasionally.
Well, you just bring up falsities, I have to pounce
when you get opportunities.
Well, yes, that's right.
All right. So Ohio State. I went to. Okay. I like mock drafts. A lot of NFL execs rely on me to give them information later as we get closer. So I am into mock drafts. Totally. I'm a total nerd with my Goulet's been dealing with this for a decade. So all I do at night.
I love it.
Ohio State's got 5 guys going in the first round. And I think to myself, well, Harbaugh ain't beating him this year.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough.
Is this... Now, last year, all you guys, were saying, it's the best team ever. The biggest bet I've ever made in college football, I took Clemson over Ohio State. I went public on it. I said, the best Big Ten team ever is not beating Clemson, so I don't want to hear that. I thought they were good last year. But there are whispers that Ohio State's better this year than last year.
I'm not sure yet. Offensively, I think that they can.
Well, Justin Fields a year older.
He's a year older. He's got an incredible offensive line in front of him. They have to replace J.K. Dobbins, who is an incredible running back, right? But they get Trey Sermon, the transfer from Oklahoma, and they have Master Teague, a highly rated player that's been in their program. And they, by the way, they signed 4 of the top 10 or 15 wide receivers in the country last year, and that's to pair with a guy in Garrett Wilson who was a 5-star, Chris Olave who's turned into an absolute star. They're going to be an unbelievable offense. Questions remain about their defense, though. Let's be honest.
Well, no,
you got to replace Okudah and Chase Young, Damon Arnett, Fuller in the back end.
You know what's really interesting about this, and you'll like my all these power.
See. You always say you'll like this.
You'll really like this, and this is where I feel like wisdom. So Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson have mostly been known, and let's just stick with Bama and Ohio State historically. They run the ball defense. They have both programs have brilliantly pivoted. I think Alabama now, I'm like, it's all receivers. It was corners 4 years ago. Is that Ohio State and Alabama, very smart. They have pivoted. They are getting unbelievable. It used to be, it's hard when you're a traditional power. Like I always give the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin credit. Like to go to Pittsburgh and say, now we're going to be a passing team.
Sure.
This is what we are now. We're going to throw 60 times. That's what Andy Reid did in Philadelphia. He got pushback. It's a blue-collar town.
That's right.
And he's like, no, it's 3rd and 1. I'm throwing.
Well,
and Ohio State and Alabama, the quality of receivers is insane.
So you would argue that like necessity is the mother of all invention, right? Well, in football, losses are the mother of all invention. Guys do not move away from their tried and true blueprint unless they lose.
That's a good one by you.
And I would argue that the J.T. Barrett Ohio State playoff team a few years ago that got trounced by Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl and it wasn't close, that's when it started to be like, okay, we can't just be the quarterback-oriented spread team of the Tim Tebow Florida years and then the early Ohio States. We can't just do that and win championships. When Deshaun Watson and Clemson beat Alabama in a shootout, Nick Saban's like, okay, maybe we can't, against teams like that who have equal talent to us, just play defense and run the football like we did against Texas when Colt McCoy was injured to win a national championship, or against the Manti Te'o Notre Dame team to win a national championship. Losses are the mother of all invention and progress in football. And you see that even Bill Belichick has had to win Super Bowls with several different styles of teams, defensive-oriented, running-oriented, passing-oriented. And now you're seeing some of these programs, these blue bloods, and maybe more specifically Nick Saban, they've had to morph, change, progress into a team that can go and win a shootout against 5-star recruits. Like, for instance, last week, Alabama is down 24-20 in the last 5 minutes of the third quarter. Okay, Georgia's playing well.
Yeah.
Okay, with their short quarterback, and they're playing really well. In the span of 5 minutes, the game completely changed. Guess what it changed on?
Deep balls.
Great quarterback play, great wide receiver play. One team had it, the other didn't.
Yep.
Okay, so it was a couple of plays for Georgia. They miss them, and all of a sudden, Alabama capitalizes with what? The deep ball, the extraordinary talent on the outside. So I think that those two games, Clemson has single-handedly changed the blue bloods in this sport because Dabo Swinney, went out there and beat up J.T. Barrett's Ohio State team under Urban Meyer in a playoff, and Ohio State knew, hey, we got to change, we got to do something. They bring in Ryan Day, they get better throwing the football, and then Deshaun Watson's teams beat Alabama in the national championship game, and Nick Saban's like, you know what? I'm going to have to win a shootout. Ole Miss is doing it to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to win a shootout.
Yeah, your best 3 minutes ever on the show. Let's get back to me. So,
that's such a good line.
Let's.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to pick on Nebraska. So I look. Here's how I look.
Yes,
at the
you do.
No, I don't. No,
don't preface it.
They're very. Listen,
like,
I have
just
a lot
bring
of
up Iowa. Any Midwestern team, go ahead and be like, just puff your chest out and be who you are.
No.
Don't apologize for being who you are.
A lot of friends who are farmers.
You're a coastal elitist. Just be proud of it. You talked about, hey, no winter, only winners in L.A. Just be yourself. Come on.
Okay. Nebraska stinks.
There you go.
The point being, we have to be reasonable now.
Okay. With Nebraska.
No. We've got 3 to 4 programs in this country that are different. And you pointed out this last week. Bama's different. Clemson's different. Ohio State's different. And it's usually...
Maybe Georgia.
That's why I think Georgia or LSU will stock up. Okay. Yeah. Then everybody else, Michigan, Nebraska, Notre Dame, these are good, proud programs. But when I watch Michigan play Ohio State, and I'm going to watch Ohio State play Nebraska this weekend, these are proud programs. It's a different sport.
Yeah, they're not close right now.
Not
even
close.
Michigan. And I don't even think Nebraska is close to Michigan, to be honest.
Right.
And to be fair to Michigan. But Michigan is not at this juncture close to Ohio State. Let me just give you a quick stat. This will show you the gap between Ohio State and everybody else in the Big Ten. There are 20 players in the Big Ten Conference overall that were 5-star recruits right now, currently, on rosters.
Let me guess.
Okay.
So there's 25.
20 5-star recruits in all of the Big Ten.
I bet you Ohio State has 16.
14. Close. Very close. 14 of 20. Like, you look at it in the ACC. The ACC has 15 total 5-star recruits in their conference as we currently talk here today. Guess how many play at Clemson? 11. Right? The gap between Clemson and the ACC and Ohio State and the rest of the Big Ten is monumental, right? It's so large right now. And Nebraska, unfortunately for them, Scott Frost, when he got to Nebraska, well, I think what everyone's starting to realize is that this was a way bigger rebuild than anyone imagined.
This had better talent,
foundational rebuild.
He had better talent in his small Florida school.
Yeah, that's right, 100%. He had better talent and speed, in particular on defense. Some of them are in the NFL right now. Shaq Griffin and the like at UCF when they went undefeated and hung a championship banner. His rebuild right now in Nebraska, and part of it is, by the way, Nebraska panicked and they got outside of their identity. That's a problem for a program. I talk about Wisconsin always having success because they know who they are.
Yeah.
Nebraska chased it with Bill Callahan, and then it got
you gotta know who you are.
It got messy with Nebraska.
Voice of college football, Joel Klatt, he and Gus Johnson. Jenny, of course, going to be there for Nebraska and Ohio State. Two things now. Let's focus on this.
I've got a good almost upset. I've got a really good close game.
So Joy and I found a huge disagreement.
Oh, I side with Joy.
Can I present it? So Trevor Lawrence, once a decade, we get a player at the most important position. John Elway was that player. And John's like, no, I'm not playing for you. I'm not playing. Eli did it from American royalty, Manning family. I'm not playing for you. John Elway and Eli have Super Bowls. Trevor Lawrence says, I ain't going back to Clemson. Jets, you haven't earned my respect. I'm not going to you. I totally support the kid.
I completely support him for pulling any leverage that he can because, and this is what you failed miserably to explain in your Baker Mayfield rant right before I came on, is that fit matters, right? Like, fit matters. Where you're going to, is there stability in the coaching staff? Is there stability in the front office? Because you can be a really good player to great player, and it's really tough to overcome those things.
Oh, tough?
That's why
it's virtually impossible.
Andrew Luck had success right away in Indianapolis because of two things. He was great, historically great as a prospect, and that was a good organization that was coming right off in the Manning area. It was Manning's neck.
Then they made a couple of mistakes.
It was the reason they were in the position that they were, right? So if I was Trevor Lawrence, so I hate it if this means that I'm agreeing with you, I would pull any leverage that I had to try to end up in the most advantageous place that I could if I was him.
Boy, really going out on a limb on that one. Jeez Louise.
Was that different from you? You want him to just go play?
No, I don't think he should just go to the Jets. I think he should explore his options. But I do think it's a different world than Elway's NFL and the Manning's
Well, one
NFL
of us is pro-employee. If you want to stick up for the corporations, go ahead. That's not how I roll. Finally,
think about it. The guy should be in the NFL right now. He's a starter
he would have been the
now.
number one
Yes,
pick
he
2
would be.
years ago.
This league, the NFL, it's not the NCAA, by the way, folks. This league prevents him from earning a living. It's not the NCAA. It's the NFL. The collective bargaining agreement between the Players Association and the NFL banned players from coming into the NFL before a certain date, their birthday, okay? It's the NFL. Bottom line is, if they're going to ban you from earning a living until a certain point and you have any leverage going into that league, pull it.
Finally, let's go. Now, again, audience, I call upsets. This is what I do for a living. Courage. Joel gives you one that, I don't know, it could get a little close.
I mean, we're trying to play coy. I'm giving you dogs that'll cover. Do you want me to spell it out? Do you want me to spell it out now? Well, we've lost our cover, Goulet. The almost upset was a fun little deal. Pitt's getting 11, number one rush defense in the country against a Notre Dame team that's really struggling throwing the football. They struggled against Louisville. They didn't throw it very well. They had to run it basically the entire second half against a Pitt team that's given up well under, I think it's under 80 yards per game.
Do you know, I don't criticize.
I give you covers out there. Jeez. Why do you have to make it?
We should be sponsored by Fox Bet. So I met Ian Book's dad. Notre Dame
Do you
quarterback's
want
dad.
me to come shake your hand?
No, I'll tell you, I met him, and we had a very good conversation.
What was it about?
About football. We talked X's and O's and schematics.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you talk about?
We just talked about some
Your mock draft?
ins and outs and flag patterns and
Flag patterns.
bubble screens.
You know the last time I heard anything called a flag pattern?
All right, Klatt, get on a plane and go. You and Gus and Jenny have a great time with that game.
We will.
Noon,
We
Fox.
will.
All right, well, let me read this. Saturday, noon, Fox, Nebraska.
That's all I have to say every week. Saturday, noon, Fox. That's where I'll be.
Great seeing you, buddy. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.